This is Thank You Mama, weekly lessons from mothers all around the world. Hi and welcome to Thank You Mama. My name is Anna Teider. My guest today is Hamidah Thanawala. Hi Hamidah.
Hi Anna, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Hamidah is an independent financial executive and she owns her own consulting firm. And on the side, to take a break from numbers and all this business talk, Hamidah hosts a global podcast which is called Sharing Life Lessons. Hamidah, will you tell me more about what you do?
Okay, yeah, sure. So I, as in my professional job, I am a consultant and I advise big banks such as Citi and Chase, etc., in their risk and regulatory space, because I used to be a senior bank examiner for the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. So that's my boring day job. Then I'm taking you to my night fun job, which is podcasting. And that's where I interview people who have real life stories to share from which they've learned life lessons. And so this is to share knowledge about any topic so that others who are going through the same issues or hardships can learn from others who've already gone through it.
And this is how you and I connected, through podcasts about life lessons.
That's so true.
Yes. Hamidah, you're also a mom, aren't you?
Yes, I am a mom of two. I have a 17-year-old son and a 20-year-old daughter. My 20-year-old is a junior in college and my son is a junior in high school.
That's amazing. How are you taking the isolation and the whole... You are in New Jersey?
I am in New Jersey. I am in the eye of the storm, as everybody knows. We are not seeing any slowdown in new cases every day. Just last weekend, our small township had 33 new cases. So I'm beginning to feel like there is not a close end to all of this, at least in our area. But the better side of all of this is the families together. We are having good times together. My daughter finished her finals, so she's finally in her summer break. My son will finish his finals in the next 2 weeks. And then hopefully things will become calmer and we can have some good family fun together.
And apropos family fun, let's talk about mamas. Hamidah, the fun thing which I'd like to mention is that my very, very, very first guest, Rupa, her mom is Burmese and her dad is Indian. And when you and I connected and you asked me, did you already have an Indian guest? And I told you about this. You were like, what? Because my father is an Indian and my mother is a Burmese. And you told me it's a very, very rare combination, actually.
Yeah, and Anna, for you to come across two of them in one podcast is incredible.
Within 12 episodes. Maybe I'll have more.
You are the lucky one.
I am. Well, Rupa's episode was so amazing. I'm so excited to hear about your mom and her lessons. So your mom's name is Zubeda. Will you tell us more about her?
Absolutely. Her name is Zubeda. Everyone calls her Zubi, which is her pet name. And my mom is, I miss her so much. She is in India right now. And she is one independent woman. She is 81. I lost my dad 5 years ago.
I'm sorry.
May his soul rest in peace. He, again, incredible dad, incredible mom. But I want to start off by sharing a story about how my dad and my mom met. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Okay. So my mom lived in this small village in India called Ahmednagar. Now, so the reason, okay, so going back to history, Burmese. My grandmother, my mother's mother, was born in Burma. My mother's older sister, who's 10 years older than her, was born in Burma. But then when the Burmese war happened and everyone had to leave, the family left and came to India.
Sorry to interrupt you, but will you tell us about the Burmese war?
I don't know too much about it. My son did a whole school project on it, but the thing that my mother told me, which is what she knew, is that there was a lot of culture in Burma. There was a lot of riches in Burma, and there was also the education system and the thinking. So education system was very good. People were very forward thinking there. And then when this war happened, and I think it was just internal, it was not an external war. It was not someone coming over and taking over Burma, but it was an internal war. And I'm sorry if I don't know the details. But many of the people had to leave Burma overnight, like leave all of their riches and goods and homes and just get out of there and go wherever they wanted to go. And it seems like most of them migrated to India. Some went to Pakistan, but many migrated to India. Only because India was, again, a very, open culture. And that's where my mother's family came into India. So sorry if I can't give you too many more details. Mm-hmm. So my mother was in the small village in Ahmednagar, and she was one of four. Very bright, wanted to become a nurse. She did her 10th grade, and then she told her dad that she wanted to become a nurse. And her dad said, hey, we don't have money. I don't have money to send you to nursing school. So she had to give up that dream. She then tells me that she fell in love with this guy, and this guy fell in love with her. And they both wanted to marry each other. Now, at that time, it was nothing. You couldn't date or you couldn't go out for movies together and stuff. It was just that you expressed your love for each other, and then if the parents agreed, you got married. But my grandfather did not agree to it. And he said he didn't think that his family was a good family. And at that time, the culture was such that you actually looked first at the family of the girl or the guy before marrying them, because you're not only marrying the guy, but you're marrying into the family, right? The girl moves into the family, they all live together. And so the parents always want to make sure that the girl is going into a good family. And so my grandfather thought that it wasn't a good family and she can't get married to him. And she pleaded and nothing came out of it. And they started showing her. So, and as everyone knows, India at that time had a lot of arranged, not all of it was arranged marriage. So a lot of guys came to see her, and she would say no to everyone because obviously her heart was set on this person. And then finally, my grandfather got stern with her, and she said, okay, the first person who comes with a proposal to get married to me after I turn 20 is the one I'm going to marry. And my mother turned 20 in November, and the next February is when my dad's family sent a proposal for her. And she says, I'm not even going to see him. Just say yes, I'm marrying him. And that's how she got married to my father.
Different worlds and different times.
Yeah.
And?
So they tried to get to know each other only after they got married. And fortunately, they got along. They were a good couple. Of course, it was my mother, being a Burmese, was more forward-thinking than my dad, who came from a traditional Indian family. So we always had this clash in the family where my father did not like me being the only girl. So I was the only girl and the youngest. I have two older brothers. And my father never liked me dressing up in sleeveless clothes, or he always wanted me to be all covered up. And my mother and I used to love to wear nice, fancy, sleeveless clothes, off-shoulder clothes. And my mother used to always be on my side. And she used to make me these dresses with sleeveless inside with a little jacket. And she said, just go to college and remove the jacket. So yeah, I had the best of both worlds. I had one my father was also traditional. He was very, he taught me how to take the risks in life. He was a very good businessman. And he showed me the value of money and how to manage money. And my mother was a housewife who has not worked one day in her life, but has always taken care of the house and the children in a very disciplined manner.
May I ask you, Hamidah, when you're speaking of very traditional in India, what religion are we talking about?
Oh, so my family belongs to Islam, Muslim religion. Mm-hmm. And so as far as, and that's why, cover yourself up, the girl has to cover herself up. I didn't have to wear the hijab or the burqa or anything, thankfully, but I still had to make sure that I was fully covered up as far as my dad was concerned. My mom gave me a lot of liberties. Mm-hmm. But also both of them, as far as both of them were concerned, they practiced the religion in a disciplined way. So for us in the house of a Muslim household, and again, if Muslims are a minority in India, so as far as the religion is concerned, we had to make sure that we were saying our prayers every single evening, and we were doing it together.
As a family?
As a family.
When did you come to United States?
I came to United States in 1987. So I came to the United States to get my master's degree. I did my bachelor's in India, and there wasn't at that time a lot of further studying opportunities. I wanted to do hospitality management, and I got admission in University of Massachusetts at Amherst in hospitality management. And at that time, there was this big discussion in our house about how do we do this? So many things, right? A, do we have the funds for it? Luckily, I got a full ride and a full scholarship. So that did not really come a lot into the decision making. But at that time, and we are talking about more than 30 years ago, not many girls left home to go anywhere, let alone to go all the way to the United States of America.
And did your brothers leave as well?
No. They're still there. They're still in India, and they were always, they have their nice businesses and they're well settled there.
How did your dad take it? Was he proud of you, or was it hard for him to let you go?
It was both. It was very hard for him to let me go, but I think my mother made it happen. Because, again, it was the local newspapers that even mentioned it, because that was unseen. Nobody leaves for the United States at that time, and again, not a girl. But my mother was forward-thinking, and she did have a lot of influence on my dad. So I guess she, behind the scenes, talked him into it, and he agreed. So again, going back to, he's also the kind who says, if your heart is set on something, do it. And he knew how my heart was set on this. So he made that happen for me too. It was tough. It was difficult. The neighbors actually literally used to get to my father and say, are you crazy? Your daughter's going to come back pregnant. And he goes, no, I trust my daughter. She'll be fine. So, yeah.
But let's go back to Mama Zubeda. I'm curious about lessons. We talked about lessons a little bit. What do you think you learned from her?
Sure. I learned some very big things in life from her and some very small things as well. So let's talk about the big things first. The very big thing that she taught us. And when I say us, I also reached out before this to both my brothers and say, hey, this is the list of stuff that I have that Mama taught us. What do you think? And they reminded me of some other things that she taught us as well. But all three of us agreed on the fact that she taught us how to give. She's a giver. She puts the family, the community, and the friends before herself all the time. And it wasn't so much by telling us to do it, but it was more by that she was our role model. We saw her giving and doing for others all the time. I'll give you an example. In India was a place in demand by non-Indians, where they used to come and adopt children because it's a third world country. And so we had many from Europe and from United States and everywhere else that came to adopt children. And there was one such family who could not have a child and came into India. We lived in Mumbai. I grew up in Mumbai. And so they came to Mumbai to adopt a child. it was going to take about a month for the process. And somehow, I have no clue because I was very small. I must be 7 or 8 years old. For some reason, they got connected to my mother. And my mother invited them right away into our house and said, "Where are you going to stay? In a hotel for a couple of months? Come stay with us." And she gave them, there was a couple, she gave them a whole room, food every day. She used to help them with going to different orphanages to look for the child. When they chose a child, it was a baby girl, very sweet, cute baby girl. She helped them through she had people help them through the whole legal process, so much so that we really, because it was 2 months, they almost became part of our family. And so much so that they actually named the girl that they adopted after me, and her name is Hamidah.
Oh, that's cute. Are you still in touch with them?
Unfortunately not. Yeah. Maybe, but thank you, Anna, for saying that, because maybe that's what I needed to hear to just get back in touch with them.
You should do that.
Yeah, junior Hamidah may now be in her 20s, so I probably should. I'd love to know where she is and what she's doing.
That would be exciting for her, I'm sure. Do we have more lessons? We have giving.
Yeah, we have given. She's the one who taught us how to always be content with what we have. Because she's always content with what she has. Whatever happens in life, she always tells us is for the good. And if you're going through trouble, then her thing was that trouble has come your way to teach you something, and you will always come out a stronger and better person out of it. And at first, when she used to say that, it did not make sense. But the more I went through life and the more I did see stuff happening in my life that shouldn't have happened, I was aware of what she said, and I was able to cope with that because of what she said. And then when I came out of it, which I always did, she was right. I realized I came out a much stronger person.
You know what I'm thinking about? How fascinating is you heard Rupa's interview, how that was a big lesson from her Burmese mama as well, to be content. And it's such a beautiful and important lesson. Because it's so easy for us to complain and want more and want different and just be unhappy what is. And it's a huge lesson.
I totally agree. And it's helped me, and I'm now hoping that I have been able to impart it to my kids as well. I actually tell them that grandma is the one who taught me this, and I'm hoping that in life, when anything happens to them, God forbid, nothing major, but if it does, they're always thanking their grandma for it. So she has also taught us, besides that, she has taught me how to, she always says, if you really believe in something, then you will not mind the pain that comes with trying to achieve that something. So she says, just believe in it. If you want something, believe that it will happen. And then if you have to struggle and if you have to work hard to get that, you will not mind that struggling and that working hard, because you have already seen the light at the end of the tunnel and believe that you're going to get there.
Do you feel that helped you?
It definitely did. It brought in a lot of confidence in me in everything that I tried to do. So I think I would put that into confidence category. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? Because she says it's if you believe in it, you will achieve it, which means that you can do anything you want, right?
Mm-hmm. But I love having the big picture always in front of your eyes, which is part of this lesson, not losing the goal inside or your picture of what you want to achieve.
I agree. Yeah. And again, so she was a housewife. It's not like she had major goals in life, right? Her big goals were to make sure that her 3 children were educated, because education is big in our family, and she would do anything. Even if she had to sell her clothes for it, she would. And she would get us educated. So her goal was to make sure we all have good education. and that we become good human beings. And that's all her goal was in life. But you saw that everything that she did, big or small, during her daily life as well, was to model that to us, that you have to be good human beings and you have to be giving and you have to make sure that you excel in your education so you can get the goals that you're out to get.
Do we have more?
Let me tell you about the little things, probably.
Yes.
Because the little things are just that make up the big thing, right?
Yes,
so it's the little things that you do that build your character. So all Indian families always use home remedies for many things. And my father had diabetes from since I was very young. So he was very young too. I think he was in his 30s or late 30s that he got diabetes. And so she used to make all of these really bitter concoctions at home for him, because I guess the theory is anything bitter that you have will help your diabetes condition because it attacks the sweet sugar in your body.
Is this Ayurvedic? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but...
It is.
Yeah, okay. I'm not very familiar. Yeah. I just know very generally about this, but it sounds like a Ayurvedic theory.
It is very Ayurvedic.
Okay.
Yes. And so she used to make these very bitter concoctions out of... I know what those ingredients are, but I don't even know the English terms for them. So she used to not only give it to him, but she also used to give it to us three. Mm-hmm. And it's like... it used to be the bitterest of all. And her reason for giving it to us was, look, if your dad has it, there are chances you will have it. Let's fight it before it comes through. This is a preventive, not, it's not medicine, but something that we're preventing you getting the diabetes. And we used to make all kinds of faces and run away and not want to have it. And she used to say, bitter may be the way the world describes it. If you believe it's tasty, it's tasty. Just imagine your best food when you're having it and just gulp it down and have it, and you'll be fine. And that's what I started doing. I used to love mango milkshake. So every time I had it, I used to imagine I'm having mango milkshake. And voila, in a matter of a week, I didn't mind having it at all. She came to me, it went in my mouth, and I was fine. I didn't make any faces, and I just gulped it out.
So in a way, you can control your experiences.
Yeah.
We are the bosses of our experiences, if I can put it that way.
Absolutely. You picked that up right away.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, and this is what my brother reminded me, right? He said, I said, so tell me, what am I missing here? And he said, hey, remember that bitter medicine we used to have? And I said, yeah, now I remember, and I can definitely talk about it. But yeah, so in this small way, she actually taught us this big lesson that you are the owner of your own experiences, right? You can't let the world tell you. You heard about that story, right? Where the frogs are all trying to climb a tree, and there are people who are watching them climb, and the only frog who actually was able to climb the tree was a frog who was deaf, because the people on the sides kept saying, you cannot do this, you're a frog, you can't climb a tree.
I love this story. I don't know this story.
Yeah.
It's great. But Hamidah, you mentioned something that I'd love to hear more about, which is celebrating life and its successes.
My mom loved celebrations. She used to get super excited, and so do I. So birthdays were huge celebrations in our house. She used to have a cake ready for each one of us at 12 midnight. Because that's when a birthday begins, whether we are asleep or awake. But by the time we grew up and got older, we tried to stay awake because we were then very excited about cutting our cakes at 12 midnight. And she used to have that. And for me as a girl, I remember she used to make 5 new pairs of clothes for me. And why 5? 1, to go to school with, because we had uniforms. I went to a convent school, so we all had uniforms. But the birthday girls were allowed to come in colorful clothes. So she used to make one for that. She used to make one in for when I came back and I played with my friends. I used to have a new pair of clothes to play with my friends. Then we went to the mosque. I had a new pair of clothes. At night, when we had dinner with the family to celebrate, that was a new pair. And in the end, at night, I had a new pair of pajamas.
Oh, wow. That was on your birthday.
On my birthday.
That's fun.
That was her way of telling me that you can celebrate, you should celebrate, but you don't have to have big things to celebrate. You can do it in these little ways too. Right? She was excited all day. She used to keep singing to us all day, every now and then. And that stuck with me. That's what I do with my kids. We still wake them up at 12 o'clock with cake, and I still keep singing to them all day. And that feels good. I remember once when her father was very ill, my grandpa was very ill, and she had to leave to take care of him. I was in 5th grade, and my finals were coming around. And she said, hey, I'm feeling really bad to go during your finals. I'm sorry, I can't help you. And I said, go, you have to take care of your daddy, go. And I promise you I will do well. And so especially for those finals, I worked really hard just to prove to her that, if you're doing something good, I will do something good here. And I stood first in class. There was ranking at that time. And I came first in my class. And she was so proud of that. We lived in an apartment building, and on our floor, there were like 9 to 10 homes. I don't remember how many flats. She sent a whole big slab of ice cream to every single neighbor because she wanted to celebrate it.
I love it. I love that. That's such an important lesson. I have friends who open a bottle of champagne every Friday just to celebrate that life is okay, that everything's normal, and they just made it through another week and everything's okay. It doesn't have to be champagne, but the idea of just celebrating. Just celebrating life.
Yeah, and it's a good gift because it teaches you to remain happy.
Yes. I always ask my guests if there is anything she was not able to teach you, if there's a lesson that you had to teach yourself.
I do. I have one. My mom, my mommy, is a very simple person. Extremely simple. She was never into makeup. She was never into having new clothes all the time for herself. And she did let me wear fancy clothes, and she made those things for me. But when I went to college, I didn't know how to put makeup because she never taught me how to put makeup. I had to learn that all by myself, looking at other girls. I'm sure you will have seen pictures, but people from Burma, especially women from Burma, are very light-skinned and very pretty. Mm-hmm. And that's who my mother is. My mom is so pretty. I mean, people used to see her pictures when she was young and say she could be a Bollywood actress. And that's her natural beauty. And she always used to tell me that there is value in natural beauty. So when I wanted to start putting nail polish on my fingers, when I was 16, she said, you're 16, you can put nail polish, but just decide whether you want to or not. Look at my nails. And I looked at her nails, and it seemed like she had pink nail polish on it. But she didn't. It was her natural color. And she said, that's because I've never put nail polish, and I've never used all of that chemicals that comes with it. And it looks like I have nail polish all the time. And it was right. And so I, even now, don't really put a lot of nail polish. So that was one aspect that I wish I actually got from her in a way, because I really had to build it myself. But that was a small thing. She was a natural beauty, and she wanted to maintain it that way. But otherwise, she didn't also teach me how to cook. She's a great cook. But because my life was so much more busier than hers, and because I had all of these big aims and goals, and I was always on the go doing extracurriculars and had leadership roles, I wish she would have said, all right, give me 1 hour every weekend and let's teach you how to cook. I need you in the kitchen and I want you to cook. But instead, she decided to support me and say, you go what you have to do. You go do what you have to do. I'm taking care of the cooking. So she did what she thought was right. Mm-hmm. But when I got married, I was lost. I didn't know how to cook. So thankfully, my mother-in-law taught me everything. But I'm not complaining. I'm just saying.
No, but that was the question. What are things you wish she did teach you? Yes, I think that's important.
She is such a good cook. So I wish I had her recipes ingrained in me rather than, and my mother-in-law is a good cook too, but you know what I mean.
I know.
There's one Burmese dish that she actually did teach me how to cook because that's my favorite dish. It's called Kaukshwe. Even now, it's my kids, both my kids' favorite dish is Kaukshwe. And that is exactly what they want on their birthdays. So every time I make something, when I make Kaukshwe on their birthdays, I will always ask them, okay, so tell me, rate it and compare. If grandma's is 10, what is mommy's? The most I have gotten to is 8.5.
What is it?
Kaukshwe is a noodle. It's an egg noodle based dish, and it's actually a concoction of a lot of things. So the noodles is the base, and on top of that you put chicken curry that is made out of coconut milk. That goes on top of it, and then you put coriander, French fries, eggs, cilantro. And there is a certain kind of spice that you make with red chili, and you just sprinkle it on top. And then you mix it all up and you eat it.
Oh, wow. That sounds delicious.
It is yummy.
And we just learned something else. Hamidah, thank you so much for sharing all these amazing lessons. Would you let me just, with your help, try to recap them? Because as you said, we do have many.
Yeah.
So we have giving. We have being content with what you have. We have believing in what you want. And then basically you can achieve everything.
Yep. And celebrating life.
Celebrating life. And we have that you are the owner of your experience. You decide how you feel about something and if you can do it. And that's it. And these are amazing. And celebrate your natural beauty.
Yes. I'm glad you took that as a positive, although I looked at it as a negative. Yes, celebrate your natural beauty. I agree.
Thank you so much, Hamidah.
Anna, thank you so much for having me on the show. This was a really fun conversation. And thank you for reminding me of all the lovely things that my mama taught me.
You're welcome. If you enjoy Thank You Mama and want to help it grow, please take the 2 seconds to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps. If you'd like to get in touch, you can send me a mail at info@thankyumama.net. You can also find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter under Anna Tajder. That's Tajder. This was Thank You Mama. Come back next week, subscribe, and tell your friends.